Right, and I think a big piece of that puzzle and them not needing to pay on defense is the fact that they've drafted so well on that side of the ball, right? I mean, you start to think about you don't need to overpay to keep Darius Slay because they just drafted Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. You talk about edge, and you don't need to bring back Josh Sweat because a couple of years ago they drafted Nolan Smith, who's now an ascending talent, and they're confident in their ability to replenish the cupboard at that position. And you look at what they do so well, and this is why they've spent so much on offense, because so much of it was homegrown talent. They draft really well. They take care of their guys early. They aren't afraid to overpay for their stars. And even though they paid $51 million to keep Zach Bond after he had the most prolific and productive season of his career, his first year in Vic Fangio's system, they still go out with an eye towards the future, and they take Jahad Campbell in round one. So you talk about the forward-thinking nature of what Howie Roseman and the Eagles do. There aren't that many franchises that are able to execute it at this high a level for this long, right? You start thinking about all of the talent they've drafted over the past half decade to decade plus of Howie Roseman's tenure. There aren't that many teams that are consistently in the mix for the Super Bowl on either side of the bracket, but they all seem to be able to draft really well, retain their talent. They don't become the Dallas Cowboys where they're either negotiating against themselves and they pay a premium for their own player, or they wait too long to let the market develop, as they did with Dak Prescott, as they've now done with Micah Parsons, where you let the quarterback market develop. So now you're overpaying for a top 10 quarterback by paying him top 2 quarterback money, right? The Eagles haven't made that mistake. Jalen Hurts is a middle of the pack contract with a Super Bowl trophy and a Super Bowl MVP. Right? They take care of their guys early. And you talk about the franchises that draft really well, seem to mimic this philosophy, that are always in the mix. There aren't many of them, right? It's the Eagles, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, draft well, take care of their stars. The Green Bay Packers are knocking on the doorstep. They draft really well, they take care of their stars. They aren't afraid to take that next big star at a position where they might already have some players. I think Washington is getting better in that regard with Adam Peters and Lance Newmark as adults in the room in that front office. They have a franchise quarterback. They're building around that franchise quarterback. I don't think they take a step back, right? But there just aren't that many teams who execute this at as high a level as the Eagles do. And you're right, they didn't need to spend on defense because they draft so well year over year, and they consistently replenish the roster. And that's why, you look at this roster, it's the most talented group in the league, and it's why I think they're still the odds-on favorite to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC.